Now I do feel special taking this bike out, so let's just cut to the walk round. Right, I know a lot of people have been waiting for this bike to come out. Anybody who's being interested in a Keeway Superlight or the RKV, they've been waiting for this one because this is the flagship as far as I'm concerned. Keeway's Vcruise 125. It's brand new to the market. These have hit the showrooms this week. From speaking to the guys at Into Moto, these bikes are selling quite quickly. So if you want one and you don't want to wait too long, be quick, because once these start hitting the roads, more people will want them, because look at it. This is an absolute stunner. Really is a gorgeous bike, this. Now I know Keeway are known for having cheaper motorbikes. I don't think that's a bad thing, to be fair. I think the Superlight has got to be one of my favourite 125s. It looks much bigger than a 125. It looks like a really big cruiser, to be fair. This, however, completely different animal. It's just more premium, and I'm quite happy to use the word premium with Keeway because I genuinely feel like this is. It's got a lot of extra tech on it, a lot of extra things compared to the RKV and compared to the Superlight, and that's why you pay a little bit more for this bike. But I'll show you around it the usual way, and I might even break the habit of a lifetime, and I'll even throw some specs out because this bike is brand new and I don't think there's a lot on YouTube about them. I'll share some figures, and what I do miss I'll put at the end, so don't worry, and if I get something wrong I'll try not to. Firstly, how gorgeous are those wheels? Beautiful. Now it has got disc brakes front and rear, only single discs, but they do stop the bike really well, so safety wise that's a tick for me. Now the exhaust is in a lovely matte black colour. I prefer that to chrome because I know in time chrome does distort with colour, or you're paying a lot of attention in, well, you're doing a lot of polishing, aren't you? This, you don't have to do that. I just love the full black look as well. I think it just looks really mean. It has got the twin suspension at the back, both ends, and I can confirm it's a really lovely ride, this. When you're riding, you're going over the odd bump that you get on British roads, just soaks up the bumps beautifully. Back end, really nice and tidy at the back, actually slotted into the rear mudguard. It's got the clear lenses at the back as well. This was a surprise to me when I looked at the spec sheet. So this bike is a belt drive. It's got a V-twin 4-stroke water-cooled engine, so you don't have to mess about with the chain maintenance. You still have to look after the belt and stuff, but you don't have to do that regular oiling and cleaning like you do with a chain. I love the bar end mirrors as well. I think they really do make the bike look nice. It's just, you know, it just makes it cleaner for me. It just looks so much nicer having them. Now, as far as practicality goes, the mirrors aren't particularly big. You can't see a great deal down the road. You can see what you need to, but they're not as practical. But that's just because they're not as big. But it's a small sacrifice to make because they look awesome. They really do. The fuel tank, this will take 15 litres of fuel. Just look at it though, it's absolutely stunning. I like the RKV, but this has took it up a notch. It doesn't look like a Keeway. If you put a BMW badge on it, or even a Harley Davidson badge on it, if Harley Davidson brought this out as a 125, I think everybody would be buying one, because that's what it looks like and that's what it feels like. I absolutely love it. Can you tell? There is some rear foot pegs. So if you wanted to take someone on the back, if you've got a full license in the UK, you can do that. However, there is no grab handles and the seat is quite small. So you need to find yourself someone on the back who's just got a little bottom. Buttons wise on this, we've got the horn indicator, you've got your hazard warning lights on the left side, you've got your high low beam, you've got a flash button. Right hand side, engine start and just your cut off switch. Now they've gone for a digital screen. You've got your miles per hour there, again lovely and visible when you're riding. We've got a clock, we've got your gear indicators, we've got your total miles, we've got fuel gauges, we've got your rev meter going around the outside, your warning lights are all at the top here, and it's just really nice and visible, and I'm a big fan of it. So your buttons you've got, so the bottom one just switches you to kilometers. I like that, being someone that's toured Europe a couple of times. It's quite good that you can, with a flick of a button, just change to kilometers. It certainly helps you keep within those legal limits if you do take it to another country. And your top button's just going through your trip computer. Let me show you what I look like on it. Now, if you've watched the channel a lot, you'd know I'm not the tallest. I'm 5'8". I can flat foot both sides. I've got a bend in my knee, which means I'm not stretching. It's a really low seat. Now I know that's fairly typical as far as cruisers go. You do get that quite often, don't you, where the seats are quite low. This is no different. It makes it really easy to maneuver around because the bike itself, 140 kilograms, is quite light to maneuver around. So yeah, no issues with that at all. As far as your peg placement go, forward mounted pegs, that for me is my ideal for riding round. I love cruisers, but I love comfort when I'm riding because I can go and ride all day and I want to be able to get off the bike and not have loads of aches and pains, and this bike will guarantee that because of your seating position. So you can see straight away where I'm sat, I'm not stretching for the bars, my back is fairly up straight, so I'm not going to start getting a sore back while I'm riding, which is a winner for me. And as far as your foot placement goes, your legs are forward, and it is genuinely, it's like sitting in a really comfy armchair or something. When you're riding this bike, it's an absolute delight, and I'm just blown away that Keeway have produced something like this. And whilst the price for me is higher than the Superlight, it's higher than the RKV, you're getting a much more premium bike, and I can't stress that enough. I'm hoping at some point in the future to line up the other Keeways and just show you the difference between each one, because I genuinely, I'm a massive fan of the Superlight and the RKV, and this now is just blown them out the water. Now you do pay the extra money for it, of course you do, but that's what you're going to get. If you want better things, you've got to pay that little bit more, and it's still cheap in comparison to other brands. This has got 13.7 horsepower, so it's quite close to the limit horsepower wise as to what a 125 can be. If you're interested in this bike, I'll also put a link in the description for Moto. They're based in Warrington in Cheshire. If you live somewhere else but you're really interested in this bike, they do deliver bikes as well, so if you did want to buy one, they will literally drop it off at your door. And that is just the modern world we live in. More riding, let's go. So these are now in the shops, and I can confirm the actual build quality on these are something I've never seen from Keeway before. It's like a mini Harley Davidson, and I'm not over exaggerating when I say it. The spec sheet on this is impressive. Comparing it to other 125 motorbikes, or comparing it to other Keeway motorbikes, this is definitely the premium. This is the flagship model for me. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a lovely bike in the flesh. It's just an absolute delight. The finish of it, all the parts and everything, it just looks better. Now don't get me wrong, it's still built to a price, you know, it's still a cheap bike really, but you can see that with the switch gear, they're a bit plasticky and they look a bit cheap, but that is probably the only thing on this bike that I would say looks cheap. Everything else on it looks very much like a premium bike. Absolutely loving these little mirrors. I've got to say, I'm in my comfortable place. The pegs are forward slightly. Your back's nice and up straight. I'm not stretching for the bars, so I'm just in a nice, comfortable seating position, and I could gladly sit here all day. It sounds very good because it doesn't have that high-pitched whine that you get out of a lot of 125 bikes. It sounds quite like low-pitched. Now I'm talking about these being quite cheap looking, but the actual feel of them, they do feel really nice. Bizarre, they don't feel kind of wobbly like you get on some of the ones that have got like a rubber finish to them. They feel very nice and easy to use. And I'm glad they've not gone for a TFT screen, because I don't think it would have suited the look of this bike. However, this lovely little digital screen that we've got here is just really, really in keeping with the bike, and it's so nice and visible as well. Let's just do the walking test. Now the seat on this is very, very low. It is very, very low, so you can technically stand up and walk with it, which is what I'm doing now. Or if you sat down, if you're a shorter rider, you can walk back, and it is little to no effort. Now this bike itself, it's not a small bike for a 125. It's quite a chunky, like muscly thing. The weight is a claimed 140 kilograms, which is light. Certainly in comparison to your bigger bikes, it's light, and you can tell that when you're moving it around. There just feels like there is no weight to this whatsoever. Yeah, it's got like a really low pitched engine note, which for me makes it sound like it's not a 125. As a little cruiser to bob around town on, or I'd even go further than that on this, because it's just so comfortable. Where my arm's placed, you can't actually see your mirror, you've got to lift your arm up to have a look. Now performance wise, let's not forget it's a 125 and it's a cruiser, but it gets to normal road speeds very, very easily, very smoothly as well. The throttle response is nice, it's not jerky, it's just really, really lovely. When you're picking the speed up and you're going through the gears slip into place that nicely. You don't actually feel the gear change, and that for me is something that I've only experienced before on a lot of expensive bikes. I've never had that on a 125 before, it just slipping into gear like that so nicely. I would actually go and buy one of these straight away. I would. If I had room now, this would be the 125 that I would have in my garage, because it's not a big bike, it's not a heavy bike, it's light and nimble. It doesn't give the appearance of a 125. When you look at it, it looks like a bigger bike. Proper mean looking cruiser, and I absolutely love it. I've not gushed over a bike really since a couple of Harleys I've took out. I don't think I've ever gushed over a 125. I've liked other 125s, really liked some 125s, but this this is in a whole new level for me. I would take this over your Yamaha MTs and your KTM 125 Dukes, all of those. I would take this all day long over those bikes. I just find this looks a lot nicer than those bikes. It's so much nicer to ride. The seating position's lovely. The sound is just uncharacteristic of a 125. This is my favourite 125 I think I've ridden, and that is a big statement for me because I've ridden loads. No, it's not the fastest 125 I've been on, that is for certain. It's not. There are faster 125s out there, but as far as looks wise go, this is a proper little bit of me, this. I'd be happy milling about on this all day long. So comfortable. All I can say is, wow, it's an absolute beaut. If you are interested in one of these bikes, go and get one, because yeah, I can't recommend this bike enough. I like a lot of bikes, but I absolutely love this beauty. I'm going to take this bike back to Into Moto now, so if you're interested, get your butts down to Into Moto and you can have a look at it in the flesh. You will see exactly what I mean when I say this bike is a premium bike, which, believe me, when I say it, it doesn't sound right, because I know Keeway are known for having cheaper motorbikes, but this is something else. It's absolutely gorgeous. So if you're interested, come down to Into Moto, have a look at it, or if you've just seen one of these bikes at the bike show and you just love it and want one, link in the description, get it ordered. They'll even deliver it for you, and you will not be sorry. I'm off, guys. See you later.